This is a Renew Studios Network podcast. Faithful, uplifting, family-focused.
On WhatsApp, no one can see or hear your personal messages. Whether it's a voice call, message, or sending a password. To WhatsApp, it's all just this. So whether you're sharing the streaming password in the family chat or trading those late-night voice messages that could basically become a podcast, your personal messages stay between you, your friends, and your family. No one else. Not even us. WhatsApp. Message privately with everyone.
Abercrombie's viral denim sale is back, and Spotify listeners get an extra 15% off with code SpotifyAF. Abercrombie is known for their denim. With 30 to 50% off all jeans, find out how denim should feel. Shop the viral denim sale in the Abercrombie app, online, or in stores. Valid in stores and online through August 11th, 2025 in US and Canada. Excludes clearance, price reflects discount. Code valid in US and Canada through August 11th, 2025. Exclusions apply. See details online.
This is a Rogue Media Network podcast. Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Relationships and Reason. We are again excited to speak with you, connect with you about important topics in our lives. And this episode is going to be about personal development. But before we get into that, hey, please follow us on social, Relationships and Reason. You can find us on Instagram primarily, and then also, our website and whatnot. But great episodes in the past, incredible guests, and great topics that we've explored together. So be sure to tap into that. And if you are a brand that aligns with the work and the conversations that we're having, we'd love to speak to you. Feel free to reach out again. Hey, Hunt, what are we talking about today?
Yes, today's topic is going to be pretty exciting. Well, it's a series that I'm thinking that we can probably, dive into a little bit, and it's a common topic, and it's about personal development. Yes. Who doesn't need personal development? Do you need personal development?
I need personal development.
I think we all need personal development. So it's not really a trend, right? But it's a commitment. It's something that you decide that, okay, if I want to get better at something, if I want to get from one stage of life to the next, you have to really take in the desire to grow and refusing to stay the same, and knowing that the growth for me to get from to advance in life is in that decision to grow personally. Yeah. I feel like the purpose that we carry, we can't fulfill it without us developing at first. We know about, like, if you just go from the Bible, jump into the Bible right away, when even taking King David, for instance, God anointed David when he was a child, and it took like 20 years before David could actually become king. So there was some personal development and personal growth that needed to happen there.
Speaking about that, hold up. Did you realize, like, I was the other day, it hit me that Moses, when he started talking to his people, right, and he got into that incident, that was like when he was 40. Yes. And then when he started leading the folks out of Egypt, he was like 80.
Yes. The folks, the Israelites.
The Israelites,
yes. That was 40 years.
That's personal development right there.
If it takes 40 years for you to develop, yes. But that was in Bible times. People live a lot longer than, people used to live like 200 years, 300 years. Can you imagine living for 600 years?
No.
Yeah. That's so wild thinking about it. Or living to be 230 years. That's crazy. Wow. Like, life has come. I'm glad that we are at the age that we are. Yeah. Because it would be hard to even fathom living for more than 100 years.
But there's some great development that we've had within these few years. I won't start saying ages, but we've gone through some development. And we'll dive into it further. But continue.
Yeah, I mean, you can have a vision for your life and a vision for your company, but without the maturity, the strategy, and just the self-awareness, that vision can sometimes get stuck, right, in your imagination. So it takes people. It takes diving into reading books, going to seminars, different things things for you to mature. So in this series, today's podcast, we're going to be talking about just diving into what goes behind the scenes to get personally stronger, to develop the mindset, maybe the habits, the healings that we possibly needed to go through at times, the maturity that we need, the humility that we need to advance in our life. And what it takes to get from one stage to the next. So we're going to dive into personal development today. So because your future doesn't need your gift, it needs your growth. Right? Think about that. Your future doesn't need your gift. It needs your growth. I mean, we can be gifted, but if we don't use it in the right way, if we don't even know how to relate to people with the gift that we have, because we are not wise enough to know how to use that, because we haven't grown up enough, right, to know how to use our gift, and it can be a little bit challenging with that. So with that being said, let's dive right into personal development. Can you think of a time in your life, maybe in this most recent way, where you feel like you have just kind of grown within the last year or two?
I was actually, I wrote that same question down for you. I was thinking about just like, can you identify like key growth spurts in your life? You know, when you're in high school or you're in, middle school, you have these growth spurts, right? And it's recognizable to a lot of people. They see you they see you in middle school, and next thing they see you sophomore year, and you're 6'2" or whatever, and they're like, whoa, what in the world happened, right? Development wise, has there been a point, and maybe a few time periods where you can probably point out your growth spurt, and maybe what you feel like led to some of those?
Yeah, I think, like what you just mentioned, in middle school and high school, people usually just see the physical growth that takes place. But I think as we get older and we're not necessarily like physically growing anymore, the growth has to then come more from like an internal perspective, right? Like your maturity in the way that you handle a situation compared to not. Yes, I feel like I have matured within the last year, 2, 4. I feel like I'm a different person a year ago than I am now, because there's just ways that I am realizing that I am handling situations that I didn't used to before. Like, for instance, I was just talking to you about this morning, where I told you, there were times when I would be thinking about something, and it like a situation that made me really upset, and I would just kind of let that, simmer, and you just kind of dwelling on it over and over and over. And then, by the end of the day, you're just so upset that you just want to like, hit something or punch something or whatever it is that you want to do. And you kind of have all these like thoughts in your mind of like, I'm going to say this. And then if they say this to me, and I'm going to say this back. And I can't believe this happened. And she was wrong. He was wrong. And all these things of like, justifying yourself as to why it is that you should be upset. But one of the things that I am learning now is that, do I want to be upset? Do I have to be upset? Yeah. So I'm asking myself these questions. Do you really want to be upset? Like, cause you don't have to be, you can change that if you want to. Sure. So I am going through this process in my own mind as to like, okay, why are you upset? Could you have changed the situation? Okay, what could you do differently next time? So just don't get upset about it. Don't worry about it. Just change it the next time. So something as simple as just asking myself those simple questions for everyday life situation. I feel that it has taken my growth and my level of maturity to a different stage in my life, something that I didn't know to do 6 months ago, compared to a year ago. Sure. So now I feel like so much at just peace because I'm saying, hey, I don't have to be upset if I don't want to. So
you're saying that you have this emotional management sort of maturity that you've hit, right? Or maybe it's a milestone that you've gotten to. And what do you feel like has brought it on? Was it an internal trigger or was it an external trigger? Is it something outside of you that says, hey, you need to change this or make this happen, or was it something within you? How did that come about?
Yeah. The Bible says that the word of God is alive and powerful, and it's sharper than any two-edged sword. It's when we start applying the word of God to our lives, like changes happens. It's like when you read the Bible, like the natural consequence of that is that we begin to change. Especially if we want to become more like Christ, we begin to take on the form of Christ. And I think that emotional, if you want to call it emotional intelligence, took place because of reading my favorite verse over and over, and then just letting that verse sink into my spirit. Philippians 4:6-8, and the last part of verse 8 talks about fix your mind on what is true, what is kind, what is honorable, what is noble, what is trustworthy, like what is helpful. Yeah. And so when I think about that and literally just trying to apply that particular verse to my life, is like, what is making me upset? Do I want to make it? Do I want to be upset? You know, like what is being upset going to do for me? And is it stealing my peace? Is it stealing my joy? Because your word says, fix your mind on what is true, what is kind. Is it being kind to stay upset? So then now just taking into that part of the scripture, and just applying it to my life. So what took place? An internal revelation of the word of God that made me start thinking about this.
Yeah, but it's brought on by obviously externally the word of God, like being it's an authority in your life that you choose to obey.
Of course, absolutely.
And taking that insight, taking that to heart, to internalize it, and ask yourself these questions. That's where the transformation took place.
Yeah, and I mean that's growth, and that's personal development, that's spiritual growth. It's like when if we're wanting to be more like Christ, what is the best thing to do is to read his word, is to read what his word says. Now it's like, okay, I read this passage. Now what? Like the external thing is the word. It's right there. It's physically in my hand. Like it's my Bible, it's my phone. I'm reading it from there. But then now do you want to apply this verse to yourself? So then that becomes like that internal process that you're trying to like deal with and navigate. How do you apply this word to yourself? Do you want to make this a part of your personality? So then it's almost like you're allowing the word to like process into your mind, as in like, hey, I want to be patient. How can I be patient? Like the word says about, what does the Bible say about being patient? Now, how can I truly apply that verse to my life? And so it's externally, because you realize, okay, I was really impatient with that person today. It didn't turn out good. That person was mad at me. I was mad. The situation was bad. So it was an external thing like that because of the way you handled something. But then you realize, hey, I don't want to be like that. I do want to change it. So externally good. And then internally. Yeah,
that's really good. That's making me think about, your source in determining how to make that change or where to make that change. First of all, it seems like, one, externally, it's coming from, like we talked about, it comes from the Bible. You choose to apply that in your life, and taking that reflection, taking that trusted source and beginning to reflect on that, evaluate your surrounding, your circumstances, to see what changes can be made based on like what's already happening, right? And so you internalize that, and then you're starting to see some change and some growth. And so it makes me think about our sources as we've grown up, right? Everybody, we are, as we're growing and we're in certain environments, we're getting our information, our insight from people, from different things, from television, from entertainment, all these different things. And that's what we internalize. And then that's how we evaluate and reflect our world and surroundings.
Yes.
Right. So as we grow, it's like we're continuing to like check those sources and check my internal like evaluations, like how is it, like, is this still relevant? Is this appropriate for my life? Is this where I want to go? And does this trusted source that I had, or, quote unquote, trusted source that I had banked, is that still relevant for me?
That's so good.
So that's really interesting.
Yeah, I love that, because I mean, we all have to grow at some point. We all have to mature at some point in our lives. And I remember there was a space and a phase in my life where I just like love reality TV, you know? And
which one? Like Jersey Shore?
No.
Bad Girls Club.
Oh my God.
Oh my goodness.
90 Day Fiancé was
90 Day Fiancé. Y'all can act right now like y'all was in, everybody at some point was in
It's
some
a
reality TV show.
somewhere, somehow.
Me and this is let me tell you,
Side
I'm
note.
not sure. Yeah, side note. I'm not sure how many people will judge us because of this, but me and my boys back in college, we used to basically have these movie nights or these show nights where we just all sit down on the couch, these big old football players, everybody on the couch watching Bad Girls Club.
Oh my God.
That was so fun days.
That was so crazy. Like just looking back at it now, you're like, oh my gosh, that was such a terrible
What
waste
were we
of-
doing? Trusted source.
Trusted source, and then we would go start acting like these people. Or growing up, and you watch what did this show called, like The Bold and the Beautiful, the soap
my
operas,
goodness.
soap operas.
Yep.
Oh my gosh.
Telenovelas.
Ay, you know, so growing up watching those things and being so hooked on like, you know, reality TV and whatever it is, on Bravo or whatever it was that, you know, those shows came on. And then I just remember like at one point where I was just like, I actually don't want to watch.
Right.
Like, I was like, what am I doing? You know, because remember I had everybody hooked on like 90 Day Fiancé. I even had Jermaine hooked on.
No, you did
yes,
not.
I did.
I used to just walk in the room and, what's going on? What are they talking about?
And then he would sit down. Oh my God. Oh wow. So just like the reality TV and it's like, you know, it's fake and you know all the things is like not real, but at the same time you're just like, oh my gosh, can you believe that?
Yeah.
So just being like watching those things and one day realizing like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
You know? And you know, those for me at one point in my life, like you don't realize how much these things like sink into your rhythm,
Right.
you know, or sink into your
consciousness.
Yeah. And then you're starting to, you know, subconsciously think about those things. And I don't know at what point in my life where I realized like the things that I see and hear like sticks with me.
Yes, they do. Y'all, Sophia is like, there's a reason why.
Oh my gosh.
We can't watch certain movies. We can't watch certain shows.
Yeah.
I can watch them, and by the end of the show, I forget what the show is about, right? I forget the next day what we were actually watching. But for some reason, when Sophia watches a show, like it's cycling through her mind. And that is wild.
Yeah. I dwell on it. I put myself in the situation about what could have happened, or I would have done that, and I would. So it just stays in my mind and just kind of replays over and over and over again. And like I said, I don't remember at what space or phase in my life where like I kind of got a hold of that and grasped on it. But I'm grateful. I was just thinking about something and I was like, should I say that? Probably not. Okay. I'm grateful that, you know, that reality came about. So then at that phase in my life, that's when I stopped watching reality TV. And, you know, realizing like, okay, I don't want these things or these people to affect my personality and the way that I think and who I become. So when it's like you look at certain people, like we talk about, you are shaped by what you see, the people that you're around. And it's like, okay, do I want to be like these people for the shows that we are watching? Or, you know, like who do I want to become? And so then start with that in mind is like trying to figure out like, all right, who do I want to be my mentor? What changes do I want to make in my personality to make me a better person when somebody interact with me? You know, like where do I need to go for the source to be the ultimate best that I can possibly be, you know? And reality TV was not it.
Reality TV was not it. Yeah, I've heard you talk about, you know, some of the books that have been instrumental in your lives, some of the people that have been instrumental in your lives. And I think there comes a point for a lot of us where we begin to realize the relationships, right? Or the information that has had the most impact in our lives. When we actually see fruit take place, when we start to do the things that we truly feel purposeful about and great about, it's when we start to shift our resources. And so for me, it's just like there's a continuous check that we have to do. And a lot of times I think it comes through having, again, good relationships, because someone is there to help you keep accountable and ask you, is that where you want to go?
Absolutely.
Is that what you want to do?
Yeah.
Right. And so there's this continuous like self-check to myself, like, okay, is this thing that I spend so much time with or listen to so much, or this individual that I listen to so much, am I actually, what am I doing with that information? Has it become banked in me as a trusted source?
Yeah, I love that. There's so many things we can talk about with that. You see that with I know this guy, and he talks just like a character that I listen to on YouTube. And every time I hear him, I'm like, dude, am I listening to this person? Because it's because of the way they just sound so much alike. Because he listened to this guy also, and so it's just it literally sound like it's the same person talking.
Okay.
So sometimes we can do that, right?
Yeah.
The books we read, the people we listen to, we can work so hard to become like them that we don't.
Yeah.
There's not even a separation.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
then you got to be conscious of like, okay, do I really want to become
Yeah,
like these
yeah.
people that I'm following? But with that though, we talk about we're talking about personal growth. This is my question for you, is it reasonable? Is growth your own responsibility? Like, should you take on the responsibility? I'm talking about to you as an adult, not as a child, not growing up as a child,
Sure.
but is it your responsibility to grow for yourself? Can somebody grow for you?
Yeah. Can
know?
somebody like help you grow, or?
No. Can somebody just think about being an athlete?
Right.
You know, somebody has put in the work. Somebody has put in the work. Would you grow?
Sure.
You know, so
Yeah.
in that sense.
Yeah, I think obviously it depends on where you truly want to go. If you decide to leave your development and growth, and I think that's where we see it, especially like in the workplace. A lot of us will depend on the systems or the processes or the training manual that's there in order to have our growth, right? Or to, I'm not growing here at this place or in this environment. And I think there's a different mindset. And I learned this from a mentor of mine, where anything that we could essentially identify, one, we were kind of looking at individuals or looking at, our purpose continuously to try to understand where do we want to be. Identifying individuals or identifying resources that could help us to get there, and then figuring out how to create our own growth path. And I love that process. Again, shout out to Brad Bowler, huge mentor in my life, and just helping me to figure out like how to craft your own type of development and not waiting for it, right? It's doing it in an unapologetic way. You try to understand where you want to go, and then you just do it, right?
Yeah.
You make an effort to develop that, and you don't have to wait on anyone. And so it depends on where you want to go in life. You can put your growth in somebody's hand, into a company's hands, or and you can see where that takes you. But ultimately, if you want to be intentional about, your development, obviously, I think obviously you have to truly hold that.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, let's talk about that from like marriage standpoint. We look at marriages, we look at our marriage, and we like, you start off this thing, you like, till death do us part, right?
Yeah.
And then, honeymoon phase ends, and you're like, well,
Right.
There's situations that when you think about 20 years from now, who do I want to be in this marriage, right? So there is like you had just mentioned, there is a personal, responsibility that you have to take on.
Yeah.
And not depend on your spouse to help you to grow, right? Because if you are depending on your spouse to be like, well, he didn't do that, so then therefore I'm not doing that, you know, then that becomes like the an eye for an eye type of, you know, conflict or type of relationship. And next thing you know, the marriage is like not working out because it's like, well, I did this and you didn't do that. So then therefore I couldn't grow. Oh, I'm not going to change if you're not going to change. But realizing that we've talked about this before, growing as an individual and coming together as one and taking on that whole personal development to develop your own self to say, hey, if this situation comes up again, I'm not going to be upset about it. Like, I don't want to be a person that when my husband comes home, he's just like, oh my gosh. Like, you don't want to leave the car and come in the house, you know, like you don't want to, for me, not you, for me, I don't want our home to be something like that. Yeah. To whenever you come home, then you just, like, I want you to be excited to come home. So then therefore, if that's what I want, then I feel like I have to develop myself to make sure that happens. And it's not depending on you to do that, right? For our home to be the way that I want it to be, you know? So I have to go in and put in the work, whether it's listening to some podcasts, reading books, speaking to people who has already been married for a long time. What did you do well? You know, what not to do. Also taking lessons from people whose marriage didn't work out. And realizing, okay, like if it is that the house needs to be cleaned, right? If that's what will make me feel good about myself and about our home, not necessarily again how you're going to react, but how it makes me feel. If it makes me feel good, because you know the saying, a happy wife is a happy life. If it makes me feel good, and I feel like naturally you will reflect that joy that I'm feeling. So I think like when it comes to like marriage and realizing that the marriage will succeed because individually you're deciding that you want to be the best version of you that you can be.
Yeah, and that one is so hard, right? Because you have, obviously you're trying to grow as an individual, and maybe you're at a place where, okay, I see where I need to grow. And I'm doing this, realizing that I'm also doing this in a union. It's not just me, and we have to go together. But a lot of times your spouse might not be in that same place, right? For all kinds of different reasons, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Whether it's just plain stubbornness, or whether it's just, you know,
not there, maturity
or different things,
or
you know, experiences that they've gone through in life.
Absolutely.
That is kind of hindering that reflection to grow, right? And so you're, as a person, I can see individuals like giving up, right? Where you feel like, oh man, I'm doing this, I'm working so hard to develop myself in here, but you're not recognizing that, or you don't want to work on yourself while I'm working on myself. And so there's a lot in just that point right there, because there's a confidence in saying that, like, who are you basically serving first? And the right answer, I believe, is first you're serving Christ. Like, you're serving and trying to make sure you are your best self, not just for your spouse, but for God first, right? And we talk about that triangle example all the time, but whenever you start to do that, like, you know that you're going into the right direction, or you're working on going in the right direction, like, there is a satisfaction that comes with that eventually sort of transforms you and helps you to work out that situation a little bit better. And I'm not saying it's not hard, because it's really tough, right? Where some people are trying to develop and grow themselves, and they're having to work with a partner that's not wanting to do that. So it can be really tough, but I think there is on the other side, on the flip side, right? When you see maybe your spouse growing, your partner develop in an area, you know, how do you put aside your pride, put aside what your notions are, in order to acknowledge that I need to develop and grow as well.
Yeah, and I really like that point. You know, whenever it comes to, you know, the tension where, well, I'm developing myself and you're not, you know, again, we want to highlight this topic is about personal development. And whenever you mention, who are you doing this for? You're doing it to please God. But at the same time, at the same time, you're not trying to develop to make your spouse feel bad.
Right.
Yeah,
because we can do that. We can absolutely do that all the time. Right. It's like, hey, I'm growing in this area. Look. These are the stats. Right. I'm taking receipts. Right.
You can see this growth, and I don't see any receipts in your pocket.
Look right here. I got my seminar receipt right here.
The last
you
3
were in
years. And here you are. And nothing about you has changed. So definitely in that sense, like when you're thinking about that, you're not growing to just please your spouse, right?
Yeah.
Like you're doing this for your own growth and your own development.
Yeah.
And I think like naturally, like some sort of change would occur, especially if you want the relationship to continue.
Yeah.
We talk about, whenever we've heard this before, when people are growing up as kids and they become adults or even adults in different phases of life, and they're like, well, you change, like we can't talk anymore. You change. You're just not the same person. And you're just like, well, is that a bad thing?
Yeah.
Is change a bad thing? And when people say that, there's always a negative connotation with it.
Yeah.
But in reality, like you have to change.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, we have to change in our personal life.
Yeah.
In our marriage. Like we cannot be literally the same people that we were 10 years ago. There's no way. There's no way. If we want to succeed in life, if we want to grow, if we want to get through the next year, we cannot be the same people that we were. And I think realizing that change, change starts with you. We've heard that saying all the time. Change starts with you, but it really does.
Sure.
That it does start with you. And the personal growth and the personal development that we're talking about here is being able to say like, hey, I have to do something about myself because I don't want to be the same person in a good way.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to be the same person that I was a year ago. And so with that, on the flip side, I'm going to ask you this question on the flip side. What is the cost of not changing? What is the cost of being stagnant? Do we miss out? Miss out on people? Do we miss out on opportunities? Do we miss out?
So much. I think we miss out on relationships. We miss out on advancement, whether that's in your workplace or the work that you're pursuing, the type of thing that you're pursuing. If you're not willing to change, then truly you're just allowing things to happen, right? You're just allowing something else to take ownership of where you are supposed to be. And if you don't realize that, it's a stifling place, right? And you'll look up, I think, and just start to think about like, hey, what am I doing, or why can I not escape this? And it's
Yeah, I mean, we talked about we miss out on opportunities, and especially in the workplace. Sometimes for us to grow, we may have to go to like a conference or something, and you're thinking, okay, well, I don't really need to go to this conference.
Yeah. Everybody there, or I know everything that they're going to be talking about.
Right, like I don't need to develop. Yeah. Right, I already know this. But there could be a person there at that conference to get you to this next phase.
Yeah, or just a perspective shift. That's all it takes. It just takes a small little paradigm shift for you to do something different, right? That can completely change the way you look at things.
Yeah. I mean, we can do that from work. We can do that from going to church.
Yep.
We can do that from going to hang with a friend.
Yeah.
All the things that we can miss out on if we like, okay, I don't need to change. I'm the same man, I'm the same woman I've been for the last 20 years. And you're just like, why would you want to, why?
Why are you blasting that? Why are you promoting that?
Yeah. Like, why?
Boosting that.
That's not good. It's not good to be the same person for the last 20 years. There has to be a change that take place. And, there's this, I don't necessarily know. I can't remember if this is like a Bible verse or if it's just something that says all the time where, if you don't plant the right thing, weeds are gonna grow. Where where Jesus was talking to the his disciples, and he gives a parable, and it talks about let the weeds and the vine grow at the same time.
Yeah.
So it's almost like if you don't plant the right thing, something naturally will grow.
Yeah.
And it's usually what we don't want to happen. So if we kind of stay the same, we're not really staying the same.
All right.
We're just putting in things that we don't necessarily.
Yeah,
want.
there's a old this is a parable too, or where basically what you feed is what will grow, right?
Yeah.
And even if you feel like you're not feeding anything, you are feeding something.
Yes.
Right. And so that's what's going to happen. That's what our lives will look like.
I mean, we can also relate this to sports,
Yeah.
in so many ways. And we talk about can someone else grow for you if you are playing sports and you don't show up to practice. Like somebody can be there, the coach can be there to help you, and they can give you all these drills and stuff. A mentor can be there and they can tell you all these things that you can do, but you have to be the one to actually like go out and physically put it into practice. For it to happen, because naturally we can't just sit on the couch and or sit in the locker room and just be like, oh yeah, I'm getting better. I think basketball, for instance. I really love basketball. I love it. I think about it all the time. I watch it all the time. But you don't go out and physically practice. Then
but you're practicing social media.
But you practice.
Right. You spend 2-3 hours on it rather than what you're trying to actually say you love. Don't get me into
okay,
that.
I was about to say, like, why you want to bring that up about social media and stuff. But okay, let's finish it out with this thought or this question. And when it comes to like the personal development, like barriers, there's a fear that can almost come upon people at times, be like, well, I don't want to change, or I don't want to get better. When I say it that way, I don't want to get better. You're like, why would you not want to get better? But not everybody appreciate change. Not everybody appreciate the change of like becoming better personally. But there's a fear of failing. Or outgrowing relationships. Like we talked about like our spouse, for instance, and you're like, okay, well, if I change this situation, like I don't know if my spouse is going to, blame me or it's going to cause hindrance. We talk about relationship, your marriage, your family. You can grow so much that you like, okay, I can't be around you anymore. If you talk about friendship groups.
And the way that I think about that is that sometimes you don't necessarily identify it as you need to grow, right? I think for us, it's like, oh man, something needs to change in my life. And I'm realizing that when I hanging around with these people, I'm getting these types of effects, right? Or this is the type of thing that's continuously happened, and something needs to change. And you might not say, oh, this is growth. This is a growth opportunity. But you realize that the results that are coming from, you doing that thing is what's actually playing out in your life. And so I don't think we usually go around and just say, oh man, I need to grow in this area. I need to grow in this area. It's just realizing like, oh, these are the results that are happening because of this this resource or this group or this source or whatever it is. And so when you start to do things even slightly different, right, then you start to get exposure to something else, right, new insight or resources. You pull yourself away and you put yourself in another place, because that's another thing, right? We can pull ourselves away and just stay stagnant.
Yes,
right.
absolutely.
You still have to like replace it with something that is actually nurturing and going to actually grow you or develop you in the way that you're trying to go. And so we can pull ourselves away, but then we realize, okay, something is happening here. And that's when the folks are coming around, or something is being said that, hey, you change, or what's different, like why you don't do this anymore, or why you don't watch Bad Girls Club with us anymore, right? And then you gotta figure
because
out,
he's married.
and then you gotta figure out like where you want to go. But I think that's how it usually plays out. It's just like you realize that things are happening because you take this kind of action continually, and then when you start to separate yourself, like different things start to happen that maybe you like, or you see good results, good fruit coming from it. And People don't always like that. But I think what's super rewarding, obviously, is when other people that perhaps, we're talking about relationships too, other people that see the results as a result from you stepping away or you changing something, and then they start to ask, hey, how did you get this done and why, and that's, I think, where we start to really see, purpose being moved and just, a lot of things happening from there.
Yeah, I love that so much. I think that there is like a sacrifice that you have to make, in order to get from one stage of life to the next. And the sacrifice can be painful for other people at times, but eventually when you start seeing results, maybe slightly, but then when other people start noticing it, then like, okay, I'm onto something.
Yeah.
Just taking it from, again, sports, basketball, it's like, okay, I got to get better at free throws. But in order to get better at free throws, you just got to practice free throws. So then that means you probably have to sacrifice some social media time, right? Or some hanging out time with friends, and you got to get in the gym. Then you realize, like, oh, now I used to average 7 points a game. Now I'm averaging 12 because I'm making 5 more free throws a game, you know? And you realize, wow, like that simple change of habit of staying back in the gym 30 minutes extra, that simple habit of that 30-minute time has like changed my, the way that I play, changed my game. Now I'm getting more attention from the media, all because of one decision to decide like for 30 minutes more, I am going to shoot free throws after practice. So just like little practical ways that we can use and do to get better. Here's something else, like a daily habit of like, okay, reading, whether it's reading your Bible or reading for 20 minutes a day, whatever book it is that you are wanting. There's a book out there for everything. Yes. Yeah. There's a book about anything that you want to get better at. There's a book out there. So spending 20 more minutes, 20, not more, but 20 minutes reading. It could be in prayer, it could be journaling, right? The habits that you want to, that you want to get better at, learning something new. If you want to learn to crochet, you have to do it in order for it to happen. So, and then another practical thing is the stage and the phase of my life. Do I need a therapist? Do I need coaching? Do I need mentorship? Yeah. Finding those resources that's going to help you, because sometimes you could be stuck and you just need somebody else to push you a little bit more to just kind of get you to get you forward. And another way is, again, being with mentors and getting feedback, from others. And lastly, it's setting a goal, right? Okay, where do I want to be in the next 6 months? It's not like a New Year's resolution where you just kind of do something and then you're like, 3 months later, you're like, oh.
No, but you got to state it. You got to plan it, or you got to put it out there. I talk to entrepreneurs about this all the time. Is there's a difference when you kind of keep your an idea in your mind versus when you put it out there and then you start talking to people about it. It's essentially starting to plan something and getting it into motion. But yeah, I love what you're saying, and it makes me also think about just like general exposure. How do we get ourselves to see different things that can help us to move and attract towards those things, that we can start to say, okay, that's what I want to do, or that's more of what I want to be like. And it's all around us, right? You said there are books around there, but there's people. They are believers, right, that are doing things that we thought, oh man, I'm gonna be this type of person forever. But no, the Bible says there's a cloud of witnesses, right? That up there, they've seen incredible things and witnessed in their lives, and it's the same for us. Like, we can be a part of that journey, and we can be joining, and we can be a part of that crowd of witnesses that are saying, hey, you can do it too, right? For those that are struggling to see the change that can happen in their lives.
I love that so much. That is a great way to end this episode for today. Remember that growth doesn't just happen, right? You have to be intentional about who do you want to be? What thing do you want to take out of your personality? What thing do you want to add to your personality? Like, your personality can literally change. You're not stuck. You're not a tree. You're not stuck being the person that you are. Yeah. You're not stuck thinking like, oh well, this is just me. It's not just you. You can change, and if there's a way that you want to get better, and you have to take those steps to do that. And remember, when you're growing, you're not just growing for people to applaud you, right? You're growing because there's a purpose behind it. You want to show up to be a better you, to have better relationships, to have better connections, to fulfill your purpose and your assignment in your life. So we believe personal growth is important, and is important in many ways than one, and it will benefit the whole society when we do all become better.
Absolutely. Well, thank you all for tuning in to this episode. I love this conversation, and I would love to hear from you what you think about it. Tell me about your personal development growth spurt, and I'm interested to see for us where do we notice that in our lives? Was it marriage? Whether it's working at a specific place, but would love to hear from you. Tap in Relationships and Reason. We're looking forward to hearing from you. Thank you.
This has been a Rogue Media Network production.
Mom, Dad, you should shop Amazon for back to school and save some money. See, I'm currently obsessed with superheroes and need all the superhero stuff. Superhero lunchbox, superhero backpack. But next year, it'll be something else. Maybe dinosaurs? I don't know. I'm not a fortune teller. But I can tell you not to spend a fortune and shop low prices for school on Amazon. Okay, good chat. Amazon. Spend less, smile more.